Well, that was not even necessary. I was about to show you all that. That there is unnecessary power boosts to this. I'm doing this right before the season ends, but I guess we're gonna lollygag just a tiny bit before deciding to attack the nightmares.
There's no turning back now.
Besides, I really kinda hated how gravity works in this game. I was even falling too fast and somehow I just died for probably 6 feet.
Welcome. We've been waiting.
Yeah, besides I've been finding some really interesting combos
You're
with
so close now.
charged with lights.
Just a little further.
And yet then having Merciless to be charged with lights is an absolute damage monster. Gonna need a little bit more orbs here. I don't really feel like dealing with Fnatic on the next part.
The Red War saw so many lives lost. Saw the light taken away so easily.
So like
In
times
life,
4, that would be
there's
great.
only weakness.
It's probably more than enough to to do this. then this is just a
The
normal
light abandoned
heroic
Cain,
mission.
left him for dead, and
But
kept him from
normally,
being saved.
we'll not be allowed to do this much particular damage. So also, we're running around with even more ridiculous things.
Crota slaughtered many guardians. The light
And
stood
we'll
by
take that to
and
the
did
next
nothing,
example.
and a great disaster ensued. In light, there is only death. Respite lies ahead.
Just don't need much of those. Yeah, so we'll just take that down to the trivia hall, just like normal. So yeah, there's like ridiculous combos that I'm finding out just barely. I know that the Four Horsemen in the Charge of Light state is very good. But yet then when you have, then it's kind of like merciless. Yet there are other high DPS exotics. Yeah, they could get pretty darn excessive. Because I know I was running around the strike earlier with the Wendigo, and it gets ridiculously excessive when you have Arcsinge and heavyweights. And yet then that the buffs we are pulling in is just to the point that we are hitting the realms of ridiculousness and getting towards the old values of broken power, pretty much. If none of this was even to be sunset in next season, then could probably take that to the advantage. Because it then also just stats. So it then, so I could even take it even further with Lamina. Now seemingly when you do have the Wendigo on, it kind of somewhat bypasses this buff stacking. But besides, I don't have a friend here, so we are simply stuck on where we're at. yeah. I could really imagine about that. So we're stacking 50% with 30, having an 80% buff. So it'd be kind of like almost towards the kill club with steroids, pretty much. But even just with the 30% buff alone, on charge of flight does quite a bit of damage. Only if this was masterworked, although. Yeah, but yes, I do know everybody. I'll compare the question, but it goes pretty good. But I do know also for sure that even running Lumina as well, so although you got to necessarily help out your teammates for buffs, but while you are doing that, stacking all the light buffs, for example, you just buff this guy. Then you pulled out the Wendigo that's already charged with light. Wait, that's already on charge with light type 6, and then the Blessing of the Sky buff. And all this together pretty much on Lamina and the in charge of light, you'll be pulling a ridiculous amount of things. So besides, this is mostly all the old weapons, but they get to still be viable in some strikes. So if we do our maths here, so we got boss spec on the Wendigo, so that's already a 7.8% buff to vehicles and bosses universally. And then we have the Wendigo's 60% buff, which it never changed, which is still original values of kill clip. So that's already at peak of 67.8%. And then charged with light, another 30% stacked at top. Be 97.8% already in total. Then we have Lamina, which adds another 30%. Then we'll have 127.8% all in total if Lamina was active, and also that have a charge of light in that as well. And yet it does causes like ridiculous amounts of damage. And yet I could pretty much prove that before reset, but first of all I got to change the clock real quick. So I could pretty much you know, to spawn into this strike by myself. You know, the changing all the clock will be, you know, 1/1/2000, and then it's just 12 a.m. So although y'all seen the little blue screen, but it actually changed the time now. Yeah, so, and besides, even in the strikes, it's in pulling that number alone. Pulling that number alone when people's around, yeah, they are pulling just excessive amount of power into the when they go grenade launcher. But if you like to go and just go do something like at clearance, and then at clearance / singleton targets, specifically trash mobs and then the majors by the cells, and then pretty much the boss DPS of your choice. It could also be done on rocket launchers, but as you are doing in together, even if you have kill clip to do 30% more damage. So right now I have impact casing plus boss spec. Between these two, that's basically a flat 10% buff against the boss, and 2.2% against any other adds. But you do a kill clip that brings things up all the way to 43%. But you have to react really quickly when you do have charge of light and kill clip together, which would put together as a 73% increase, which isn't bad to have, but when you got things like Wendigo and most other things that could prove itself, it could go far and much higher than what it is. It could be ridiculously excessive. You have things like, and then if you have things kind of like the question, you have the Four Horsemen, Merciless. Although like the using Jotun is okay, but when when it comes to to try to dump out the most damage, it's pretty much gonna be boiling down to Merciless, pretty much, or the Four Horsemen, since these two do put a high amount of damage and high rate of fire. Although with Merciless it does ramp up, so Hinton is pretty much a decent option, but Four Horsemen is pretty much best at what it's doing for its job, being a boss killer and a champion killer, which I used that in the Nightfall, and it's excellent in regardless of using with Charge of Light or not.
There is hope for humanity.
So I'm gonna go right back in this again. I do know the last video I did show off maybe the similar or the same exact build, but it was against the Fanatic during that strike, although I didn't really have much time. But hopefully if I could able to get bosses like the pure medium boss, the Will of the Thousands, or Knockerus, or any other boss that is kind of stationary or free roam regardless, except for the Fanatic. But you have to pretty much just speed kill it just in record times, just by solo killing by ourselves. And then I have friends run similar builds, and yet then we kill the Nightfall boss in record times that we couldn't even expect. But too bad that there is sunsetting that's coming up occurring, so we're not going to able to use those weapons at Nightfall when it does hit, except maybe for the exotics that's still powerful enough, and yet then I do know Merciless is actually not that bad. Well, Horseman is actually not that bad, but yet then if I'm gonna go up against anything that's kind of mid-rangers for the bosses, pretty much Merciless is probably gonna be the best. No, yet then if you're gonna go sit there in the back and want consistent hits, then pretty much Yoden probably be the better option there. But if you want to dump damage, it's pretty much Merciless. Yeah, then like they're running Lamina as well. Yeah, they're just trying to run things that's negating the effects of reloading. So yeah, then the Huckleberry pretty much still has its old values on Rampage. Still that 66%.
My hidden operatives tell me the
As
Cabal
usual.
have caused some kind of anomaly inside the Infinite Forest. Multiple squads from your first visit have been copied. Osiris is concerned. You don't have to. But if you go in there, make sure the Cabal don't leave with any Vex tech.
So yeah, so this is just me soloing down in the hero. Although the hero is still relatively quite easy to do, it feels just like a normal Nightfall. I mean, strike, but easier modifiers. Oh, I need those. So we'll, if anyone sees that there's a getting the picture, is to always be buffed on weapon damage. And also that, yet then if you have the Wendigo, it's just best to spin charge with light and gain explosive light.
In the forest, time itself is in flux.
Because when you do have charge with light and explosive light combined together, you are pretty much set to go for very, very heavy boss DPS.
I can feel your approach, Guardian. Welcome back to the forest.
I've been meaning to ask, what are you and Osiris doing out here?
We're not completely sure yet. Some light with onward, maybe.
The Vex won't like that.
They don't have a say.
So, so you said, well, as so long that you are negating reload, yeah, then you are very much golden. Alrighty. But besides for hunters, you can pretty much run and power finisher. Besides, they don't hurt your super as much if you're going for tether. But if you're going into subclass, so pretty much avoid that. Then for all other classes, which is Titan and Warlock, actually avoid a power finishers unless you have things that could get your super back, or you have a masterwork bad juju. Yeah, just sit there in hand. They have geomag stabilizers. You can also use that as well to regain your super back at the tail end before getting your super. And yeah. They always need to be a power all times, and also that be super ready as well. Alright. So just as we're heading, well, we just need to go and eliminate everything right here.
That chasm in front of us looked uninviting, so I simulated a sparrow for you.
I had the same idea. You just said it first.
Okay. Yeah, I could pretty much be better off running good old micro mini here. Yeah, it's much better.
I can't tell these Cabal apart from the real thing.
What's the difference? Vex simulations can kill. These copies have the same goal as their counterparts. Find a future where the Legion wins the Red War.
Alright, that is perfect.
So, where's this Valis?
Wait for it.
The Vex activated their security grid.
They see you and the Cabal as invaders. Relax. It worked out fine the first time.
They've activated more lasers.
It's hard not to admire the artistry.
It's really not.
And this is pretty much the end of this strike here. Pretty much.
Does anyone else feel like we've done this before?
Why do you keep asking that? I was the active ghost last time. Now it's you.
I've never asked that.
Huh. I swear you did.
There's something strange about this forest.
And pretty much this is when there really is quite a bit of sex in those now. Now you think the other builds you think I could basically show, but I do know I had probably did showing off the 4 horsemen. Yet with the callus and all while it's charged. And besides, we do get 30%. Yet then it's multiplicative on that when it does apply. Because I do know that we get all of it to 80%. I don't know if it was 83, 87% that when you do get to the 5th shot, that when you multiply it by 30, you can pretty much get to a ridiculous number that could basically just swap the and modify the direct boss to pieces pretty much. And me and friends actually did that, yet then just all 3, yet then just 50 shots been blown, and they're going to the thousands of % increase. While charge of light of 4 horsemen has been multiplying. Like they've gotten to the point that it just nearly killed it, but yet unfortunately at the time that I already ended up using my tether in there, because right now it was the Nightfall, the Insight Terminus, and I used that for crowd control, although I should have saved it for Kerrigan, which is the Cyan boss pretty much. And this is all but I pretty much did use for that. So it's all pretty much what I did use. So having nothing but shotgun associated to the 4 horsemen, and then using seal or car grass, so yet then I could continuously damage Kerrigan with melee, and then just start shooting again. Because yet then I do know you could pull 3 mags pretty much by yourself, because Silver Car Garage has been nerfed in the past to the point that you can only use it only 2 times, and it does a secret cooldown, although it's not even been listed. Because yet then before in the past that yet then Silver Car Garage can be used indefinitely, and yet then you can pretty much guarantee to keep on continuously dumping damage. And I used to use that with the Merciless, since yet then, like, the Merciless would always recognize that it hadn't killed anything yet, and regardless whether I used Silver Car Grass or reloaded just by itself. And yet it'll just keep on continuously firing at the lowest possible charge time, which makes it very helpful. And yet I used to use that in Nightfall, and it was probably, if not one of my go-to things. Yeah, but because until yet then, when there's distant ones, yet then I had to pretty much strategize that which enemies I could pretty much go on melee and then just DPS the boss again after doing so. Yeah, Pseudo Merciless do have somewhat like a 2-3 second recognition before it could reset itself to pretty much be in 900 charge time mode. before you have to go wind it up again. So, yeah. This is when I had taken things to pretty much excessiveness, pretty much from all the nightfalls and strikes I had taken it around before. But it was kind of sad to see many things go for the sunset, but yet if you could get your hands on similar weapons, and I hope Bungie is able to say that they are making similar pinnacle weapons of the past. If they did like a Little Question 2.0, then I could pretty much still continue on with that build, including the Wendigo 2.0, if there is such things with those. So it will be very interesting to find out if they can't, but I could hardly see if anything could actually just change the game other than what the updates has been shown in the trailers, but we have no information on any new stuff, so we're pretty much left there waiting for the unknown to happen, other than what we already know out of that little bits of information. So yeah, that will be it, and I'll see y'all later.